The fall of Rome, the true story of money. When people think about the fall of Rome, they usually picture barbarians, armies at the gates, collapsing legions, and emperors poisoned in marble palaces. But empires don't actually fall just from external attacks, and they never have. The real decay always begins from within. Throughout history, the most corrosive poison has always been money. Rome didn't just fall because of invasions or corruption. Rome collapsed because it lost faith in its own money, and that collapse still echoes today. Because in the modern world the same game is still being played, only in different forms. So was it really the coin that kept the empire standing? For centuries, the foundation of the Roman economy was a silver coin called the Denarius. It was first minted around 211 BC. It was nearly pure silver and was trusted throughout the empire. Soldiers were paid with it, merchants demanded it, and the public stored their wealth in it. The denarius wasn't just money, it was metal turned into trust. Faith in Rome was the same as faith in its money. As long as people believed in Rome, they believed in the coin too. But ruling an empire was never easy. Armies needed to be paid, roads built, wars financed. By the 2nd century, Rome's borders had expanded and expenses skyrocketed. Taxes alone could no longer carry the burden. And so emperors turned again to an old but easy method, reducing the silver content in the money. The appearance was the same, but the value wasn't. Constantly raising taxes could have caused uprisings. Instead, emperors chose to make the same coin cheaper. The numbers tell the story. During the reign of Augustus, the denarius was 95% pure silver. By the time of Caracalla, that number had dropped to 50%, and under Gallienus, it fell below 5%. What was once pure silver became a bronze coin plated with silver, and people noticed. The coin's name, color, and weight had changed, and so had the trust. Then came inflation. A measure of wheat that once cost 1 denarius suddenly cost dozens within a few years. Soldiers demanded higher pay, merchants refused to accept the coin, and the people returned to barter. Money was no longer money, the crisis of the 3rd century. Between 235 to 284 AD, it was a catastrophe for Rome. Invasions, plague, civil war, economic collapse. Emperors rose to power only to be assassinated months later. But behind the scenes, the real collapse was economic. Even taxes were collected in worthless coins. Farmers abandoned their lands and trade broke down. Emperor Diocletian tried one last solution. In 301 AD, he issued the edict on maximum prices, fixing the prices of thousands of goods. But that didn't work either, because when money is worthless, fixing prices does nothing. The black market exploded and official trade stopped. The people realized a law cannot repair broken money. A new hope, the solidus. In the end, Rome completely abandoned its old money. Under Constantine, a new coin called the solidus was minted, made of pure gold. This system survived for centuries during the Byzantine era. But for the Western Roman Empire, it was already too late. As the denarius lost its value, Rome's trust evaporated with it. Armies disbanded, trade vanished. Rome didn't fall in a day. It began to crumble slowly, as its money lost value. So, what does this tell us? The death of money is the death of empires. Rome thought it could deceive its own people. It minted coins that looked the same but were worth less. And today, modern states do exactly the same. They print money, manipulate interest rates, inflate debt. The result is always the same. The bill always goes to the public. Wealth disappears, trust collapses. The same script throughout history. After Rome, the story repeated. After World War I, Germany. The government printed money to pay off debts. By 1923, a loaf of bread cost 200 billion marks. People carried their wages in wheelbarrows. Overnight, their savings vanished. Just like in Rome, trust in money fell to zero. And that economic despair paved the way for Hitler's rise. Zimbabwe faced the same fate. In 2008, inflation hit 89.7 sextillion%. Prices doubled every single day. Eventually, the people abandoned their currency and adopted the US dollar. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it teaches the same lesson again and again. Modern Rome, the United States. In 1971, US President Richard Nixon ended the dollar's link to gold. Since then, the dollar has survived only on trust in the government. But like Rome, the system's strength has been fading. Debt has exploded, money printing accelerated, purchasing power shrunk. Today, what $1 could buy in 1971 now requires $6. The paper looks the same, but the value is gone. Governments always present inflation as growth. They say wages are rising, but prices rise faster. They point to the stock market as a sign of prosperity, but most people own no stocks. Just like the Roman emperors, they say everything is fine, while quietly hollowing out the money. And what's different today? The difference. It's no longer the problem of one nation, it's the problem of the entire world. Everyone now trusts paper or digital money, but the foundation of the system remains the same: infinite debt and infinite printing. One day this chain will break and the collapse will be global. In short, history tells us this. The ones who will feel the destruction the most are those living on salaries, retirees, and savers, not those who own real wealth. So what can we do? Understand, inflation is never an accident. It's a policy, a silent tax. The invisible mechanism that has collapsed empires for centuries. Recognize real wealth. Wealth is not on paper. It lies in assets that hold value: land, skills, production, and knowledge. Don't blindly trust stability. The Roman people never believed their money would one day become worthless, just like the Germans in 1913, just like the Zimbabweans in the 2000s. And yet, they all met the same end, the final lesson. Rome taught us this. Financial systems collapse gradually, then suddenly. When money loses its reality, society unravels. Trade halts, contracts break, armies disband, trust disappears. The barbarians in history weren't only outside the gates. The true destroyer was always inside the treasury. And in the end, one truth remains. History doesn't repeat itself. It crushes those who fail to understand it. The fall of Rome wasn't just the story of bad emperors. It was the story of how power corrupts money, and money corrupts society.